So welcome all to DGC Live. We're very happy to host you today for a panel on publishing in MEA, so Middle East and Africa, publishing games in MEA. We will start this panel with a few questions. All of you have been in the gaming industry for so many years, and you have been pioneers in this industry. And we are today also happy to host leaders in this industry from not only the MENA region, but from Africa, North Africa, the MENA region, the UAE, Pakistan. And we know that the four of you have global reach today in your business. We want to start with a question, which is a little bit: how can you define the role of the regional publisher today in our region? We can start with Sahar.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Habib, for allowing me being part of this panel and this great event as usual. And from year to year, I think with all of the people on the ground attending, we can see lots of progress happening in the region. And back to the point you are asking about, the regional publishing. 7 years ago or 6 years ago, it was very limited. It was very tough to maintain and sustain, and it was probably led by models that are, let's say, imported to our region. What I can see now in the region, being part of the different players in the ecosystem, whether they are the developers or the publishers or the platforms that have been injected, or the facilitators in the ecosystem, whether in the payment or monetization or distribution industry, that we made our own version somehow that is not really copy and paste, in my opinion, of whatever was happening globally, because it had to customize and take the pace and readiness and challenges, definitely barriers, frictions of the region. In a way, and in order to make the region accessible and scalable, we lots of people have done a lot during the last 7 years, and I think I am excited to start seeing lots of interest, traction in terms of visibility from global developers and publishers into our region, and we can see lots of talent coming out of the region, being capable to attract all of those investments, and actually creating a unique version in terms of content and in terms of distribution for the region. And this is what I want to say, that on the level of unity, that, for example, we've been dreaming to unlock the frictions for the publishing distribution in the region, and what we've seen Unity have done, and us trying just to plug on it to unlock the region, is that basically we're seeing in the next 5 years at least $500 million incremental opportunity of new publishing and new distribution in the region. And for us, I mean, this is exciting enough to work towards and onboard all of the players who want to be part of this opportunity.
So basically, Raheel, you have your studios in Pakistan, and you have been publishing also in most of Southeast Asia, but you are also part of the Dubai and GCC ecosystem. And as Sahar was saying, we are seeing a huge traction that we weren't seeing before in terms of publishing. For you, who considers yourself to be part of this region as well. How do you see this evolution going, and how is it easy for you to actually enter that market? I know that your games are doing very well in your own market, but what about entering the market here?
Well, first of all, thank you, Habib, for inviting me to your wonderful event, DGC. So, no doubt that MENA is a very important upcoming region where players have deep pockets. They love to spend on games. They have a big appetite for games. And we, coming from a background from where we have been developing and publishing mobile games since 2010, and we no doubt have many titles that have been performing globally very well. But this region, the importance of local, the distribution, the local distributors or local, distribution platform is very significant, is very important. Because we publishers coming from different region, we need to know a region more closely. So there is a very significant importance that someone sitting inside know about the region and can help distribute our games and publish in this region more significantly, where we are able to acquire right audience based on our titles, and then we are able to monetize it properly. And that's why me and Asad, we thought, like, why not we establish our, let's start focusing on this region. And we also established a small office in Dubai because we were actually looking forward to expand our horizons in this region. And coming from, there are many important things when we are talking about a particular region. There are many things that are very important about payments, about, going, the translations, making it, sometimes the content has to be changed, has to be adopted as per the local requirements. So fulfilling those requirements for a publisher is not possible without having a strong partnership in the region.
I was going to say, kind of, because we're talking about kind of content and the type of content that kind of does well in the region. I was wondering, do the genres of games that work well in our region, are they global, or do we have particular tastes? As in, do we like RPGs or shooters over, say, another genre in a different region?
Well, definitely every region has a particular taste. Sometimes, mostly about MENA region, like in Gulf, especially if you take example of Gulf, the card games, sometimes racing or multiplayer shooting games. Those are the games where we get some good responses. And but we cannot. It's not that easy without doing making content more localized. So there is a particular taste, especially when we talk about particular regions. There is a particular taste coming for that region.
I believe also, Anas, you are on the day-to-day in touch with the taste of the gamers in our region and what they prefer to follow up on Thomas's question. So how do you think, is there really today a space for our own voices when it comes to marketing games, when it comes to publishing them? Do we actually get enough visibility? Who is helping us to do this? And I believe this question is also for Asad, for Sahar to answer.
Yeah. So please let me ask this question, as I'm strategic partnership of Lifeguard. We've witnessed actually the dominance of certain genres, of certain games genres in this region, including core games, strategy, royal playing games, role playing games. So those genres has been dominating the top gaming in our region, as we as we dealing with publishers themselves and dealing with the customers, and we witness the appetite of our customers. So basically, these genres as core games, for example, has deeper or driving deeper engagement and drive more likely making in-game purchases than other genres, for example, arcade or casual games. So we are talking about these certain genres and games. For example, for instance, PUBG Mobile is dominating now the GCC market. PUBG Mobile was the first action core games to have or by time spent in Android phones in 2019 globally. So we are definitely seeing the dominance of core games and action games and strategy among all other genres.
Asad, would you elaborate on this from your end?
Yeah, thank you very much for letting me hear. My feedback in terms of the market insight really goes according to the user profile. What I think is what makes markets are the users. So when you talk about having the publishers according to that demand of the content that you want, that changes as with respect to the user profile that exists across the region. So if you talk about the MENA region, the interesting part is the profile is very different. It would vary in UAE as opposed to that in Saudi Arabia, as opposed to what you get in Egypt or the North African side. So when you say that what is the appetite or what is the consumption of what kind of content we are talking about, UAE is full of expats. We need to understand that. So the localization of the Arabic content for UAE is much different as to what we can expect from Saudi Arabia itself. So I think Anas is pretty much right on the fact that PUBG is doing great globally. It's primarily because the kind of people residing in this region, they are adopting this content. They are very much well aware of the English side of all of the content itself. Whereas if you talk about gaming itself and as a category, casual gaming has taken hyper casual is going crazy, right? Yeah. Why? It's primarily because the user needs a very short-sighted entertainment leisure time. It serves very well in terms of what kind of eye span you have and what kind of a challenging pleasure you get from the games itself. So in terms of localized content for Arabic people, I think Raheel was pretty much right on that, spot on, that they are focusing a lot on RPG games, on card games, publishers like Tomatum, publishers like Bubble Games, like 1MT, Jawa Maker. I think these are the guys who are actually focusing on that part of the side. And concluding, and lastly, talking about the perspective is the advertiser side. Even advertisers play a very big role in terms of which content do they really want for the market. So if you're talking about the UAE, the interesting part is, as told by Sahar, is they want to advertise their content in this market now. So when they want to advertise, you need to generate that kind of a content. So that's pretty much correct. That as per my understanding, the Arabic or the local content really resides more on towards the casual and the RPG part, but I would say it's a small percentage. On the contrary, hyper casual and casual gaming, and in fact, what you call that action arcade is still dominating right now.
Let me comment, guys. I am here just to continue on the same line of thread, thought of everybody. Because thank you, Asad. Concluding, I want to comment not being in the machine of the publishing as you guys are. You are the experts and insight. I can only tell you that what we've seen from consumer appetite, access, reach, and appetite side, and the analysis that we've done, that all of those success stories, whether it is the PUBG, like all of the last 10 years of Saudi UAE kind of stories, I would say this is a very, very, very limited segment in terms of the consumer, a consumer appetite that is existing in MENA. And currently, everybody started with the version that was ready, even the big names, the publishers who came to the region. And this is why we're hearing all of these names and all of these titles and all of these numbers. Reality is that this is not even up to 10% of the actual market in that was not reachable by publishers in terms of access, consumer access, and in terms of monetization, and in terms of, as you've all been mentioning, the region is not one big block. Every single country is very, very, very diversified, and all of the countries that we're talking about, they don't have that much common in terms of consumer behaviors, and in terms of age, and in terms of culture, language preferences, etc. So the region has been, difficult. Now, what the hope or the story that we're seeing is that with the evolutions of the platforms, and if you give access to the rest of the 90% that was not addressable by all of the publishers of the world, even the big name, big titles you mentioned, this is much bigger opportunity in terms of variations of genre and variations of addressable market and appetite. And I think we will be shocked if we really see probably in 2 to 3 years, Africa, guys. We're talking about UAE and Saudi, yes, okay, because the infrastructure was ready in terms of the distribution and access, but reality is that all of these consumers sitting in their homes currently, with from all age groups, they have different, let's say, expectations, huge numbers of addressable market and appetite, and all what we need to do is how to reach them and deliver for them the right, like the relevant, kind of genre, and it is much bigger than the 10% we're all competing on as we speak now. This is my message.
Well, so I think most people, when they think gaming, especially outside the industry, they kind of think consoles and they think PCs. However, I would say a lot of the innovation has been happening in the mobile space, and I think we've all kind of touched on that. Is that going to continue, for one? And where do we think kind of mobile gaming and casual gaming is moving towards? Is it going to go more serious? Is it going more competitive? What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's going to be more basically mobile, portable. It's coming more and more popular. If we see trends like 2 to 3 years before, people were, and especially in this region, were more focused on PC and other consoles. But now mobile is taking lead. And by 2022, maybe by the end of 2021, we will see that in terms of monetization as well, mobile will cross PC, and especially in this region. And I agree with the Sahar as well that it's right now it's like only the 10% of the market is being tapped, and that's why we need some regional publishers who can have more deep understanding of the market. They can actually distribute content in the very right manner. So as far as the console is concerned, mobile is getting more traction, more popularity. Casual gaming is definitely becoming more and more popular because that sort of genre is more easy and more easily playable. Even while on the go, on the move, you can see people traveling while they're playing any normal casual games. Even if they don't need much more internet connectivity as well. So that genre is definitely going to take lead in next year.
Yes, actually, I do support what Raheel just said about the mobile being dominating the gaming industry. Actually, as we are in touch with the players, as we offer the seamless payment methods for recharge cards, we see that now mobile recharge cards are really very demanded, and they are surpassing all other consoles recharge card demand. And that's really proven by reports are being issued from big market data analysis in the world, They say like in 2019, 57% of gaming industry has been generated from mobile gaming, which was like $80 billion last year, and they are expecting it to surpass the $100 billion during this year. And that's really I can understand that, because now mobile smartphones actually are being smarter and like stronger now. And now you are just having a game consoles in your bucket, so you don't have to be you don't have to have a special one or Mac or PC or any game consoles that will allow you to access the game. It's really accessible for any user. So the customer base is really very, very big. And we've seen an evidence. We've seen like successful and big games that try to do this. Like last year, Call of Duty Mobile has shifted and migrated to mobile, and Mario Kart Tour has did the same. So I think it's really true, and we're going to see more and more of advancement for the mobile gaming to be dominating the whole industry.
I would just add on to that thought. These guys are pretty much correct on the idea that mobile is going to grow much faster. In fact, the growth rate of mobile on year growth for mobile is like 15%, as opposed to like 5 to 6% for the console gaming. But the point to note over here is that it's because of the access to the extra users that is created by this platform. When we talk about consoles, we are actually talking about a very specific target market. And the interesting part is mobile has managed to provide not only console gamers the console, but it is kind of even those gamers are willing to spend some time on the mobile gaming itself as well. Whereas the hardcore gamers, they expect like GPU power, console, high memory, graphics, and all that. That would not be substituted by mobile itself. So what I would say is mobile would tend to grow faster because of the fact that it's giving access to many more gaming people around the world who don't play games on console otherwise.
Yeah, and taking this to the context of our region, Africa and North Africa, I mean, this is an opportunity because now you don't have the frictions of the investments in technology, PCs, infrastructure, bandwidths, like very heavy equipment and professional kind of, preconditions for the old version of the PC games and console games that used to happen. Or the investments or interest of those leaders of console games to come and build the infrastructure and focus in our regions. So this is why I see that mobile gaming is going to be the reason we reach more and more of the gamers in the region, but also specifically Africa. By all means, is going to start from a fresh start that is very low currently in terms of penetration. Yes, but it is going to be in terms of growth, the highest growth. Because of the mobile gaming infrastructure, monetization, distribution infrastructures in this region. So this is what we're seeing, and it started to happen, and this is good news for Africa.
For sure, Africa is a great focus, and this is why also at DGC this year in our live edition we are focusing on Africa. I want to now ask all of you a question. What today are the chances of local and regional talents to enter this market? Because we have heard now how, of course, mobile is doing well, the different genres, but basically we are talking about international publishers coming to our region. And with the help of all of you in that panel today, they are able to find the right partners and to enter these markets. And as you said, we are still at 10% and growing. But what about all of these developers listening to you today that are part of the conference, part of the event? How is this going to be a market for them as well? How are we going to help them open this opportunity and expand with our own voices?
Can I just answer this question from the perspective of a company that is dealing with the biggest publisher right now, the global publishers, like for instance, Garena, Tencent, Montun, and etc. So let me please tell you some figures and factors that make our region is so promising to attract international publisher and to push our regional and local developer and publisher to thrive. So actually, it's so promising in terms of the demographics. So GCC has the highest rate of highest percentage of Generation Z and millennials among the population, which the Generation Z and millennials are the early adapters of the games, whether it's a consoles or mobile. So, for instance, KSA. In KSA, there is exceeding, or there's roughly 45% of KSA population are aged between 18 and 35. So this is a very promising segment for playing this game. And in addition to the high internet speed in GCC, for instance, in UAE, we have the average internet speed is exceeding 85 megabyte per second. We have the high rate of the high percentage of mobile penetration among the internet user in UAE. For example, we have 92% of them have a smartphone. We have also a crucial part, which is the high annual income, or the GDP in general in this region is very high, which make people more tend to spend or to try to purchase or to make in-game purchases. So giving or taking in consideration these factors that making this region is so promising and attractive for game developer to come to this region and to work in this industry.
If I can complement also, we all know that, I think you're all right, that the region has proved to be very attractive because of all of the factors that you explained, again, specifically for starting from GCC. Now, what is nice and what is exciting is that now the stage is open for not the premium heavy pocket publishers or developers to come to the region, because this was the only story. This was the only way for the last 10 years in this region. This was the only way. Only big publishers, big players, heavy pockets can really make it happen because of the frictions, barriers, access. Lots of the stories that were not there. What is exciting now for the rest of the potential talent in the region in terms of developers, local, regional developers, and this is basically, our dream is how this region is full, as you've been mentioned, is full of young generation in terms of consumption and in terms of development talent as well. And there is huge potential of those developers in GCC still, by the way, but also in Levant, North Africa, rest of Africa. Huge developers community that are full of talent, that have all of those preconditions in terms of potential of the game, local flavor of the game, understanding their community and their population, but they didn't have any chance to get discovered or to be able to really push their output or their production across the stream of the region, and that is huge in terms of market appetite. But why? Because they could not really compete. They have all of those barriers to entry in terms of investment, development platforms, distribution, lots of financial barriers, lots of technical barriers, to survive. Even if they penetrate, even to survive is very difficult. And I know most of you guys coming from development and distribution and publishing, you would relate to all of these stories. So our dream this year is like, what is it that is happening in this ecosystem that allow those developers that didn't stand a chance before to really be just visible only, to reach the potential market that we're talking about, that is not tapped, to be there. And maybe the only exciting part that I can say here, like the decision of Unity to do this, in terms of removing all of those frictions of any developer, developing a game in the engine, and then not thinking twice, what does it happen? What does he has to do in order to really show the game immediately, without investing on his side in terms of porting the game to different platforms, and migrating and maintaining and distributing and choosing and sticking and conflicting with different distributors' policy and pros and cons, and then putting budgets for marketing, discoverability, consumer reach. This is huge a penetration point that was not feasible for other than the big names coming from outside the region, or that who've invested into the region from inside. So this Unity distribution portal that was launched in last March is allowing any of those developers in Africa, in GCC, in Levant, in North Africa, that had no chance to really show or push their production to the region, to at least stand a chance, whatever it is, and evolve and develop and focus on this without worrying about the barriers and infrastructure and overheads that is part of the industry delivery for the last few years. And actually, this is a dream come true for us in the region, because we know that we have the market, we know that we have the talent, we know that mobile is just making it easy and fluently done. So we have now the basic infrastructure to really tap and scale. So this is why I'm so excited about this Unity distribution portal kind of launch for Unity, and stepping up in the ecosystem of the value chain to the distribution, so that it allows all of the 90% of developers of the world to do something with their production.
I do believe that this will facilitate. I speak with a lot of developers from the region. A lot of them this year, we have decided to give them more visibility. They have their own sessions and panels to discuss this. And it's true that we have a lot of talents in our region. However, their voice is not being heard because of the financial difficulties that sometimes they face to be able to bring their games to an audience, to bring their games to the users. So we see a lot of these games just staying there, and not being able to be distributed anywhere. And I believe also this is what we want to hear from you guys is, what is each one of you ready to do? Are you looking at that? Is this something that you think will really be the next investment today? Is it our local regional talents, or is it just relying only on the international publishers that are looking at the high revenues of our region and coming to us? Of course, an ecosystem is both of them. However, we have to rely also on our own resources, right, Thomas?
Yep, 100%. I think there's a lot of big names starting to look at this region, but I think it's important to champion the local developers over just someone else's game that we translate into Arabic, for example.
Well, a recent experience that we started publishing a couple of our games in partnering with Unity's UDP platform. So we were publishing a couple of our games in China, and for one particular content, we have to make 4 different flavors for China. So so those are the challenges. That in fact is not it's not the only challenge, but doing the translations, then changing the economy for some regions. it's more like the ads, they have more appetite for ads. For some regions, it's more popular that they go for subscription model or even the paid content. So, if it definitely varies from region to region. And for that, we need to have a very strong partnership with some local publishers and developers who know the community, the culture, what works and how it works. So, and definitely I agree with all of my fellow panelists that this is definitely the most important upcoming region, especially the Africa. You see more and more penetration is coming. Every day we see new users are coming, and they are adopting new mobile platforms, especially Android is more popular in that region as compared to Apple. So all those things and are very positive and very promising for publishers and advertisers and mobile ad networks to jump in right now at the very right time.
So being luckily a part of the ad network itself or an ad platform myself, I've had the chance to work with quite a lot of publishers across the region. India, Pakistan, Saudi, Egypt, Turkey, and all that. But if I talk about the MENA region, I would say let's understand the parameters for a developer or a publisher to succeed, right? Because there's a lot of competition. When you say the market is lucrative, the market is full of money, which means we are talking about a lot of competition. So in terms of the competition, what requires for a publisher or a developer to stand apart is, number one, able to create a kind of content that he or she knows that it's going to bang on the target audience. And to make that content, surprisingly or unfortunately or fortunately, quite a lot of publishers or developers are not equipped with the right technical expertise as well. So I think that demands a lot of technical. It looks like a small and nitty-gritty things, but they create a lot of difference in terms of user experience. And the next very important thing that I guess works is spending a lot of money to promote your game. You should be if you really trust your content, I think there are very good platforms around now. We are helping a lot of publishers already to have really good acquisition, specifically on these regions. So just not making a content is suffices right now. It's just like websites. There are millions of websites now. You just make one more. It has to go through a process of being discovered. That's exactly the challenge that is faced on the app stores. And for this region to flourish in terms of publishers, I think spending on the promotion of these apps, spending on the user experience of these apps, probably you might end up not localizing your app or game at all. Probably the content itself, because what we are seeing right now is the external competition is not really getting those localized stuff. PUBG, Mario Kart, all those games, like Hyper Casual by Quali, by Say Games, by Voodoo, they're not localized, which means that there's some other thing that actually entices the user. So being a publisher does not really only qualify the fact that you would be able to get the content. You might earn a few bucks out of that, but to make it a success, I think you need to have some good technical expertise, understanding of the user experience, and willing to spend some good money on the promotion side.
From TPAY side, we've invested very heavily in order to create this staging sandbox, platform using Uni. So the for example, the challenges that you've been saying, that how fast you can learn and put the learnings into the first version of the game, and then we publish it without an extra overhead, try and then have the access to all of the biggest distribution visibility channels of the region, which are the mobile network operators. So what we've done is that we allow the developer to really, have all of the insights of all of the markets. We're as TPAY, we partnered with Unity. We're distributing in 54 kind of channel of mobile network operator and mobile payment channel, where we launched the stores directly sponsored by those mobile network operators. So your game is published in the store. It is discoverable, distributed, marketed through the store. And the idea is that you might get it wrong, you might get it incomplete, you might not get the dynamics of the pricing, although that this is part of the knowledge that we really give to the developers in terms of pricing, how it works, one-time or versus subscription, packaging, comparatives. All of this is part of the market insights because we've been operating in those markets in monetization on mobile payments, and payment with the network operators for the last 6 years as we speak. So we've tried to capture all of this information to be a sandbox, out of the box kind of information for the developers and publishers coming into Unity, and just getting this information with the push of a button. They are already visible in all of the telco stores. We launched 7 markets, 7 stores as we speak now with Unity since end of March, since the launch of the UDP, and 6 are coming out till end of the month, and 20 more are coming out till end of the year. And this is why we want to help the developers, but the power and insight of the consumer's appetite and etc. that is part of the legacy knowledge of the operators, mobile network operators in the region, consumer information, their subscribers. And you're absolutely true. It is not one size fits all kind of, even within a country by country, store by store. So Egypt is not the same as Morocco, and Morocco is not the same as Algeria, and UAE is not the same as Saudi and Iraq and Kuwait and Qatar and all of those countries. So even the high ARPU countries, the low ARPU countries, every one has a different consumer blend and reach formula that we're trying to bring all of the telco power into this ecosystem through this partnership. And this is I think the bridging of the capabilities that we wanted to put in for the region, by the region, in a very innovative model compared to the typical store or distribution business or marketplace or whatever that has been happening in other regions in a way or another. Very, very, very hopeful that with bridging and closing the gap between the direct to consumer and the consumer knowledge on the telco, direct to the developers, giving them the access to try and play and republish and publish and do cross selling across, so that they care more about how they survive and the core position, and they innovate and distribute without thinking twice about the cost and investment that they need to do that. This is what we wanted to do.
Yes, adding on, building on what Habib just said about that we're here, we can play a good role here to support those developers. Actually, one of the challenges that they have is the payment method. It's not, we don't have like very high rate of penetration for online payment in this region particularly. So for us as Lightcard, actually we can help with this because we can provide the seamless payment method that we accept, and we can promote their games if they are have a good content and good technical aspects, So we can help with this by promoting to our customer base that is like millions now, and most of them are gamers, so they might have the better chance to be introduced to the right audience and having the right tools for them to pay, and to if they have any in-app purchase, in-game purchase, or any piece for playing the game.
Especially I think that App Store and Google Play deducting a high percentage of or having a big revenue share from developer. I think it's up to 30% from App Store and Google Play, and this is challenging for the developer. So this is a kind of alternative things that payment method, the alternative payment method that can play in this context.
Our crew here is telling us that we need to wrap up, but it's such an exciting conversation with the 4 of you. I believe some of you we are seeing again in the program, and all the developers and publishers that are joining the event can also reach you through the meeting platform, where all of you have today your profiles, and they can schedule meetings with you and continue this conversation with you over a Zoom call after you have accepted or requested the meeting. And every year we see that there are new things happening in our region, that you guys are really working hard to grow this in the right direction. And we hope to see more chances for our local developers. And of course, since we started DGC, we have been welcoming a lot of international publishers here at the time when nobody believed in the region. And I believe, Sahar, you were there from the start, I believe.
Yeah, I remember the early days, 6-7 years ago, where we didn't know even whom's going to attend the event. I remember. Yeah, Habib.
Exactly, but now we are seeing much more happening on the. And even if you look today at the program that we devised this year, we're giving a lot of space for the local and regional activities and initiatives, and it goes from developers to other consumer-related activities, and it's something we really need to focus on.
But I think you can tell from you guys how passionate you are and how excited you are about this industry as a whole over the short term. So we really cannot wait to see where the industry goes and where you guys personally go as well.
And we thank you. We thank the four of you also for their continuous support to the community, to DGC, to continuing on growing the ecosystem as well. And I think everybody should be now typing your name or your company name and requesting a meeting with you guys to know how they can benefit from your work and publish their games today in the region. We thank you very much, and we hope to see you soon, and physically at least. No, we have to be in the virtual world, in the virtual sphere. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Guys,
Thank you.